So quiet. What? Elijah, you froze?
I'm
What
in a
was
basement.
that about?
You're in a basement right next to a router.
Apparently
You
it's
can't
not
get any
fast.
closer. You can't get You'd have to be the internet to be any closer to it.
Well, I'm on the run. I got involved in a Harley Davidson gang.
Oh God, here we
Oh,
go.
here we
It's
go.
And
Here we go.
always something like that.
I have nowhere else to go
Oh,
but this
geez.
basement that may or may not be
Oh.
Miggy's owner of Prestige Worldwide.
You know it. That's how we
There's
roll
something
around here.
else, man.
All right, if you're just tuning in, and there's a lot of people tuning in. We've got a whopping 300 and some odd people tuning in right now. So thank you for
481.
Oh man, it's climbing, baby.
Wow,
All right.
that's nice.
So what you're tuning into is currently just gay. Well, is the Off the Cuff show, which is me, Dave, and the underpaid producer Elijah talking about whatever we want. This is literally just our take on culture and news and things and guests and whatever.
We
Like,
got a hell.
everybody's got a
story.
podcast now, so we can't be left out.
Hell of a story today.
But anyway, we've got a few things. We're going to push into the whole double standard, the Nashville hate crime, murder, and some double standards all around that, and give our thoughts on that. We're working to it, but we know that once we go there, we won't be able to like just turn back the clock to funny times. so we're gonna have some fun on the front end, and we'll get serious on the back end, like two
If
good
you know what I mean.
lovers. Fun on the front end, serious on the back end.
All right.
That's what they say, right?
Oh,
That's the saying.
that's what they say.
That's what I've always said.
Yeah, fuck Trump and fuck the police.
Wacko. Good job,
brother.
buddy.
Yeah, brother.
If you hear this,
Colors don't run.
If you if you get this on audio and you're like, who are these guys talking about? What are they? We're live on YouTube and Facebook right now. So usually we don't go live on Facebook. That's just an occasional thing. You just the YouTube audience. But I thought, hey, why not? Whatever. To expose more people to the fact that we're doing the show, you can look up Off the Cuff. I think we're now the second podcast that pops up out of the 80 that are called Off the Cuff.
We're making big moves.
If we're making big moves. Hey, we didn't even ask for any ratings or reviews, and we have some. So, seriously. All right. So we have 7 ratings. It's 5 stars. Here we go. This one, first review, 5 stars. Missed hearing the sweet voices of Mike, Big Daddy Dave, and Elijah. The world is a better place with you guys podcasting. Keep up the good work. We will.
That's right.
The best are back. Miss these guys. Mike and BDD, Big Daddy Dave, are always entertaining, informative, and energetic.
Energy.
Yeah, so happy to have them back. And the epic intro music. Yes.
Right? Thank
That's
you.
right, baby.
We love this music.
The YPP, whoever that is, says still hasn't made it back. The UPP still hasn't made it back from CVS.
That's an old school one.
No, I finally did, and I'm here in this basement.
He commandeered a Harley to get here. That's how
I did.
Lord.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let's run away from the biker gangs that only
Man, oh,
Harleys
man.
are allowed in. Just so you know.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, that's the show. You can find us on podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
And Prestige Worldwide.
And if you go, it's on the Mike the Cop YouTube channel, which is soon to be just whatever we end up branding this show. Send us, hit the comments with like what we should call this show. Thank you, Ryan Abernathy, for the super chat.
Ryan, thank you.
What we need names. I don't want off the cuff. I'm glad that we brought us back. Like, I'm glad that we're back,
Right.
but maybe we just, whatever the show becomes, the name will need to just develop. So I'm not in a rush. When the right one comes along, we'll know. So
Yeah, I don't want to be in a hurry. You know what I mean? Although
All right.
you never know what's going to happen.
That's the name of the
Just go.
podcast. I don't want to be in a hurry.
Slow it down.
Let me ask you guys this: do you want to? Well, when do you want to do the next episode of Spinetti? Because, dude, I'm itching, man. Like, I want to so
I'm
bad.
ready to let's roll it out now. I say we roll it out right now.
If you're in the chat, don't type F. Type Spinetti in the chat if you want to hear us do another episode written by AI of Spinetti, Detective Spinetti and Russo out on the beat. Type Spinetti in the chat if you want to see it. We'll see if there's enough people that want to hear it. We'll do it. Elijah, what's your news? You say, like, now you've got me all curious. You told me that
you're gonna hate it.
Of course.
My news is that I went and got a 2-up seat for my Harley Davidson.
Oh gosh, that's not news.
It's news.
That's
because
not
listen,
even news.
It's just a life update.
Everybody in Michigan knows about this. Everybody does. The old guys at the Harley dealership were looking at me, giving me thumbs up.
Oh God!
So they know
felt bad
the
for
people
you.
who they know, and then the guys that they know have told people like Gretchen Whitmer. And I was invited for dinner. I wasn't gonna tell you guys over at the governor's place
tonight.
So, yeah, as long as I bring my Harley. But I skipped it to be here with you.
Well, yeah, but you got that 2-up for your boyfriend Will, and that's I think probably the reason you got invited over to the.
Don't tell Brooke about Will. We don't talk about William.
We don't talk William.
Okay,
William and his Willie.
We're getting a lot of Spinetti.
William's Willie wiggling his way onto your 2-seat. All right.
2-up.
So gross.
Guys, Spinetti is with an I. Guys, come on. Spinetti. S-P-I. Spinetti.
Spinetti.
All right.
Spinetti.
Hey, Spinetti. All right.
Let's try to read what Dave sent.
Well, let me say. So
I sent a PDF.
Yeah, he did in the text. I sent it as a text because I don't have the docs that like he has access to. So he put it into a doc.
Oh, you made it. How'd you do that so quick?
Because I'm good like that, bro. I'm a professional.
Holy crap!
I should be the producer.
I'm amazed by that.
Dude, I did that in like 30 seconds, dude.
I'm proud of you.
I had AI write a script on how to convert text from text to PDF.
And it just did it.
And then it just did it for me.
Spinetti, huh? Yeah, forget about it. Now, here's the thing: is I don't want to change over because Russo has a great part in here.
Am I Russo?
You need to be Russo because I think you're gonna like Russo.
Me? I'm gonna be Russo.
Yeah, I hate to do that to you.
Wasn't I Russo last week?
You were?
Yeah, I'm Russo. You're Spinetti.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know if we were going to switch off every once in a while. I don't know how people feel about that.
No, I think you embody the Spinetti spirit.
Oh, well, that's sweet of you. And I wanted to embody the Russo that I think that you can handle this one.
I love it. I'm so excited. I have no idea what this says. All right.
So good.
So, Elijah, you give us the rundown, and you're going to play the part of the coroner, apparently.
Yeah, you're the coroner, and of course the narration and all that shit. So.
Here we go.
Cheers, everybody. This is Elijah got me this bourbon. I don't know. He didn't get it for me. He brought it to my house. It's his. What is it? What is it called?
It's Black and Tan, and they don't make it anymore. So,
if he's like, it's called Mad Dog.
Got a different character to it. That's for sure.
It's really good. It's really good.
All right.
The homicide scene, Naked Gun style. A homicide scene. Scene opens with Detective Spinetti and Detective Russo arriving at a homicide scene. The coroner is already there, examining the body.
Jeez, Russo, look at this mess.
Yeah, thanks for stating the obvious, Spinetti.
Hey, I'm just trying to lighten the mood, like a clown at a funeral.
Great, just what I need.
Gentlemen, can we please focus on the matter at hand?
Right, yeah, sorry about that. So what do we know so far?
The cause of death appears to be from the multiple blunt force traumas to the head. Most likely caused by a crowbar found nearby.
Oh my God. That's his ex-wife. My ex-wife. Shit. That's my ex-wife.
What? Your ex-wife? I had no idea.
Thank God. Whew. I mean, how terrible. I mean, that's terrible, Spinetti.
Oh, wait, what do you mean, thank God?
I mean, I don't have to pay alimony anymore.
Hey, you're ridiculous, Russo.
Are you both done with your stand-up routine? I have important work to do.
Yeah, sorry, Doc. We'll let you do your thing.
So, what's our next move?
Look at this. There's a footprint here. Looks like a size 10.5.
The old footprint trick. We'll have this perp in no time.
What the fuck is a foot trick? That's right, Russo. They don't call us the best detectives in the department for nothing.
You two are more like the best comedians in the department.
Hey, we'll take what we can get.
Hey, come on, let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's blow this popsicle stand.
I love it when you talk dirty.
Russo and Spinetti exit the scene, leaving the coroner to continue his work. As they walk away, they share a comedic exchange.
I can't believe it's my ex-wife.
Hey, don't worry, Russo. I'm sure the alimony payments will stop now.
You're not wrong, Spinetti.
That's the spirit.
Hey, speaking of payments, I just bought myself a new Corvette. Top of the line. Cherry red, leather seats, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, Russo, you're moving up in the world.
You know, maybe I can finally get some respect around here.
I love how during that reading, we dropped by over 100 viewers.
It's so worth it to me.
Only the real Spinetti fans are still here.
God, these guys don't fucking get it, man. Oh man, that was awesome. Okay, now, am I supposed to read something here?
Are you what?
Am I supposed to read something here? Because I got a couple things. You know, a couple of things. I don't know. I'm still doing this Spinetti accent.
It's hard to get out of character, you know?
I know it is. Once you're like in, I like, you know. So
what were those guys called that did the prank calls?
The Jerky Boys.
The Jerky Boys. He sounds like Saul Rosenberg. That was the coroner's like that. One of the Jerky Boys is what Elijah sounded like.
He did. Oh shit. Okay, let's see here. So we could segue, I think, to this if it'll let me here. You know how these fucking like articles will like completely screw you up, and they'll be like, no, now if you buy the newspaper, like I'm gonna pay like $45 fucking a month for a fucking newspaper. If you want me to go right into the segue of the conversation that we're gonna be talking about, or what, like, or
what
are we still gonna try? Well, I mean, this is an article by the AP. The GOP lawmakers override the veto of the transgender bill in Kentucky, which is kind of a big deal.
Let's start there. Explain to me what's happening, and then that'll be a good segue into the transgender psycho that decided to try to murder people.
All right, Frankfort, Kentucky. Republican lawmakers in Kentucky on Wednesday swept aside the Democratic governor's veto of a bill regulating some of the most personal aspects of life for transgender young people, from banning access to gender-affirming health care to restricting the bathrooms they can use. The votes to override Governor Andy Beshear's veto were lopsided in both legislative numbers, where the GOP wields super majorities, and came on the next to last day of this year's legislative session. As emotions surged, some people protesting the bill from the House gallery were removed and arrested after their prolonged chanting rang out in the chamber, because, you know, that always fucking helps. It always does a lot. The protesters, their hands bound, chanted, "There's more of us not here." Oh my God, are you serious? Is that what they said? They quote, "There's more of us not here." As they waited to be taken away from the Capitol, Kentucky State Police didn't immediately say how many were arrested or on what charges. The debate will likely spill over into the year's gubernatorial campaign, with Bashir's veto drawing GOP condemnation as he seeks re-election to a second term. A legal fight also is brewing. The ACLU of Kentucky reaffirmed that it intends to take this fight to the courts to try to preserve access to healthcare options for young transgender people. Doesn't it boggle the mind that laws and shit don't mean anything anymore? It's like, I don't like this law, I'm just gonna fucking sue. Does it boggle you at all? Like, does it? When did this all start? When did that all start happening, where the courts had to get involved all the time for every single law that's being enacted? While we lost the battle in the legislature, our defeat is temporary. We will not lose in court, said Chris Hartman, executive director of the Fairness Campaign, an LGBTQ plus advocacy organization. In praising the veto override, David Walls, executive director of the Family Foundation, said the bill puts policy in alignment with the truth that every child is created as a male or female and deserves to be loved, treated with dignity, accepted for who they really are. Activists on both sides of the impassioned debate gathered at the State House to make competing appeals before lawmakers took up the transgender bill following an extended break. At a rally that drew hundreds of transgender rights supporters, trans teenager Sun Pakyaga, who cares, held up a sign summing up a grim review of the Republican legislation. The sign read, "Our blood is on your hands." If it passes the restricted access to gender affirming healthcare, I think trans kids will die. If it passes the restricted access to gender affirming healthcare, I think trans kids will die because of that. The 17-year-old student. I'm really glad too that they put 17-year-olds on. You know what? Fuck it. I'm glad they put like 8-10-year-olds and just give them an opinion and put them on fucking TV, let them talk in the news, and just really give these young fucks a voice, because it's really important. They need to be heard.
But if they want to smoke, they got to wait till they're 21.
Yeah,
I want to. Can I have a cigarette? No, you're 8. Can I have a penis? 8. Yes.
Yes, you can. You're 8.
Hello.
Yes. Okay.
I promise myself. I promise myself I'd stay calm.
Don't promise this. You cannot stay calm on this. So, the 17-year-old student said expressed a persistent concern among the bill's critics that the restrictions could lead to an increase in teen suicides. I don't want to fucking go off right now about fucking teen suicides and transgenders and fucking. I got to read this. So the Senate voted 29-8 to override Bashir's vote. A short time later, the House completed the override on a vote of, holy shit, 76-23. Republican House Speaker David Osborne later said it was a decision by state police to remove and arrest protesters. Yeah, I guess that would be their decision since they're the ones doing it. I think it's unfortunate that it reached that level, and certainly they were given, as I've been told since then, multiple opportunities to either quit their chance or to leave voluntarily. Osborne said the bill's opponents framed the issue as a civil fucking rights fight. Why did we doing this today? What
have you done?
Why did
you open that can?
Democratic Representative Sarah Stalker declared Kentucky will be on the wrong side of history by enacting the measure. Bill supporters assembled to defend the measure, saying it protects trans children from undertaking gender-affirming treatments they might regret as adults. No shit. Research shows such regret is rare, however. Oh, I would love it. It actually, it's highlighted, so you could actually click onto the fucking article, which is, there's not enough fucking research on that topic to say anything. And when we start moving that topic, I'm going to actually have to hit this button, and I'm going to have to read this fucking shit article. We cannot allow people to continue down the path of fantasy to where they going to end up 10, 20, 30 years down the road and find themselves miserable from decisions that they made when they were young, said Republican Rep. Shane Baker at a rally. And this goes on and on. At least 10 states have enacted laws restricting or banning gender-affirming care for minors. Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, Georgia, Iowa, Kentucky, Mississippi, Tennessee, Utah, and South Dakota proposed ban is pending before the Republican governor in West Virginia. Federal judges have blocked enforcement of laws in Alabama and Arkansas. Nearly 24 states are considering bills this year to restrict or ban care. And like I said, the list does go on and on of where the article goes on, and I should say. So let's dig into it. Your turn, because I'm going to go crazy.
Well, it's just I feel like most people I feel like up until recently were kind of the persuasion, and I would say that most people who would consider themselves American patriots, lovers of their country, lovers of freedom, I think that most people, until like in the last year and a half especially, were like this. Listen, if you're a grown adult that wants to pretend that you're something that you're not, a guy pretending to be a girl pretending to be a guy, now these furries, people pretending to be animals or feeling like they're really a hawk when they're a chick, whatever.
3 dudes pretending they know how to podcast.
Yeah, guys that don't know how to podcast thinking that they do.
Good Lord.
Would have just been like, you know what? Go live your life. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, do your thing. You want to open up a drag queen bingo, right? Like you want whatever, just do your thing, right? But where this has really come to a front is when, and again, I've been saying this for a lot of years, the LGBTQ plus agenda is to indoctrinate children
clearly
and convert them to a humanist religion. We'll get into the religion thing later, but it is a religion. Okay. And the humanist religion is they worship sex. Oh, dang, I'm getting an offer on Elijah's house on.
Screw it.
The humanist. Oh my gosh, Elijah's making political memes.
Laptop in your basement.
What'd you say?
I got the same call and I was like, what? It freaked me out because you got a call. I'm like, why am I getting a call?
Who wants to talk to me? The humanist religion, they worship sex. And so anytime you worship, you have to have sacrifice. And you can check history, and throughout history, cultures that worship sex, their sacrifice is children. And they will, the human sacrifice of children. We do that now. We just legalize it and call it abortion. But the reason that this has really taken a hold is that now we're trying to take kids who have developing imaginations. What kid doesn't pretend to be or want to be a dragon or a spaceman or a freaking whatever, right? Like it's imagination. And now we're talking about permanent damage to their bodies and minds through drugs and procedures with kids. And I think that's where everything is coming to a head, is the exposure of the ideological drive and determination to indoctrinate kids into a different way of life. And that's why this is such a passion-driven topic now. Whereas, dude, I mean, how long has RuPaul been around, right? Or
oh my God, forever.
Whatever, Freddie Mercury was flaming as could be. No, like it's one thing when a grown human is exercising the freedoms that were afforded in this country. But now when we when we start involving kids in the decision, that's where it's becoming a more heated front, I guess.
Do you think, well, I would say yes. I mean, the idea that it's going to be heated stems, I think, because it's kids. Because again, like you said before, we don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with people wanting to be, we'll call it individuals or whatever, which is total bullshit. Like, I was watching on Instagram the other day, and this one, I don't know whatever it was talking about that they basically identify as a fucking eagle or some weird shit. And they're like, I'm the only one of my kind, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, is this where we're at? Like, we are trying so hard to be individuals.
I sent you the one about a person that identifies as Hitler in a past life.
Yes, you did. That one was, again, what in the
I think Elijah sent me that one. Or I sent you that.
What is your problem? Like,
that's what I'm looking up right now. So
this is a real fucking problem, man. Like this, and this is not going away anytime soon. If you think that that's okay, you're out of your fucking mind. Oh, you know what? It's okay. I mean, this person just, every time we decide that, or every time a human being decides that they want to separate themselves from society, they become more of into it. It's another clique, one way or the other. You will never, I have really bad news for some of these young people. You are not an individual. You are not different than everybody else. I don't care what you say, what you think you've heard. I don't care what a celebrity tells you. I don't care if a celebrity tells you to follow your dreams, be your own person. It's all garbage in the end. You are just like everybody else. You are not Hitler. You're not a fucking eagle. You're not a cat. Like, but this is the problem. We are starting to accept that. It makes no sense to me. It's boggling my mind where in this world we can all of a sudden say it's okay, because it technically, Mike, it's not okay. It's not okay.
Not okay.
In my opinion, it is a sign of a mental illness. If you're telling me that you are Hitler and you are serious about it, that you are Hitler, that you were Hitler in a past life, and you are literally, you saw that the person you sent me is certainly trying to take on the appearance of a liberal Hitler. Look at this.
You guys think we're kidding?
No, this is absolutely true. This makes no fucking sense to me, man.
The first memories I had from that lifetime came to me when I was 5 in my nightmares. You can see right where I shot myself too. That and just so many other things throughout my life have connected me to my past.
What is this? It's her reaction.
It's like a reaction.
I
got
got
the only
you.
place I could find it.
I was like wondering why there was an 11-minute TikTok. It's like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, you can be your own person, man. I don't care. But there's a difference between being quote yourself and being fucking nuts too. It's not really that fine of a line to me. It's
no.
Not.
And parents that are encouraging their kids in this turning imagination into reality, it's child abuse. And I hope we come to a point where it's criminally prosecutable, that they could be removed from these psychos' homes, because this is just a dangerous ideology when we encourage the complete existence in a bizarro made up world. And the why do they want to use other people's bathrooms so bad? Like, why is that an urgent issue for you? Why is that a civil right? Why is that a thing?
Because it's a basic human right, or like a basic human need to use the restroom in the privacy of your own gender, and they're so lost that they think
you're right though. It's like a steamroll, right? It's like, so I was listening to a podcast, Glenn Lowry, conservative guy, and he had a guy named Delano Squires on, and this guy is a Black Christian conservative. This is a great podcast. What I love about Lowry is that he really will put people through the test. He plays devil's advocate quite a bit. It's just a really cool. I really enjoy the podcast from what I've listened to, and Delano talks about he actually says this quote, which kind of like this can be put into play here. The designer is the definer. If they can design how life is or how they think life is supposed to look, then they can define it. So if they're designing this new place, they're steamrolling, they're saying this is this is this, this is this. I've designed it, I define it, and you have to follow the rules around it. And I thought it was a great little quote that he said, because it's so true. The designer is the definer. Mm-hmm. And it's a dangerous thing. It can be extremely dangerous. We no longer care about traditions and all that other stuff. And part of the podcast was interesting because they were talking about, like, Delano saying, like, my values, the society's values come from Christian values. Mm-hmm. And Lowry did a great job because he played devil's advocate on it. He's like, well, but there are people that don't prescribe to the Christian religion. How do you combat that, or how do you answer to that? And just how he answers is very matter-of-factly, like, here's the principles of life that people follow in general. You can't veer from that. And just so you know, these principles are Christian values. They're Christian principles, and so it's an interesting podcast. But anyway, but on that same time, like, they're trying to design life to fit their needs, so that they can basically redefine everything and make it theirs, so that if you don't prescribe to it, then you are somehow the bad guy, right? Like, this is seriously, this is 1984 all over.
It's
for me.
Nuts. I remember being in in high school, and some guy was like hitting on me, right? And was like telling me that he's into me, like, right. I basically told him, hey, I'm not gay, like, I'm not into you. And I remember some girl turned to me and was like, what, are you homophobic? Like, why would you say that?
Because you're not turned on by another man.
I'm like, I just like women. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't like men's no more.
I don't like them. I don't like men's no more. But no, you bring up a good point though, Elijah, because, like, in the end, how is that homophobic? The fact that I don't like penis, it doesn't make me homophobic.
It doesn't make me afraid of or hate anybody.
Right. It doesn't do that. And I'm sure that you probably didn't respond with, get away from me, you fag, or some like ridiculous thing. You're probably like, yeah, dude, I'm sorry. It's just, you're not my thing. I like women. And then you get this response because all of a sudden you're the bad guy, because they are trying to, they're designing a whole world. They're defining it. You have to live within it. And it makes no sense. There's no logic to
any
it.
of their molds that they make that they think everybody else should prescribe to, then you're evil.
Yeah, there's no other ifs, ands, or buts about it. So,
yeah,
it's a tough
I think
one.
The designer is the definer. Like, I think that's a huge thing, and I mean, without kind of dipping into a whole discussion on moral values, the reality is that if you do not accept at least a theistic worldview, you have no moral standing, because you have to borrow theistic values to claim right or wrong, right? Like, so people who claim, and I'll say this, they claim that they are not, they don't have a religion, they don't believe in God, okay? They claim that, will at the same time say what happened in Nashville was a tragedy, it was evil. But you can't say that. Like, right. It doesn't make any sense. Like, the design gets to define what it is, right? So, like, by design, there are only two genders, and that's it. That's how it works. And I think, again, framed in our Constitution or republic and in our history of freedom would be, hey, you go ahead and do you, right? But that doesn't require us to do something special for you because you want to be you.
Right.
Right. So
I don't have to prescribe to it.
If a 25-year-old dude wants to, if I go into the grocery store to pick up some sundry items for a snack, and I see some dude that is clearly a dude dressed up as a woman, it doesn't stop me from getting my little Keebler Elf goodies. It doesn't stop me.
You should never.
I just pick it up and I check out.
Delicious morsels.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I disagree with it. I think it's stupid. I think it's moronic. I think it's imaginary. I think it's immature. I think it's evil. But he's a grown 25-year-old dude that wants to dress like a woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
Now, if I have a 25-year-old dude that is trying to go into a woman's dressing room while my daughter is in there trying on clothes, we're going to have an issue.
Hey, have you been to Target recently, Dad?
No, I don't think so.
They have gender neutral changing area. And I will tell you, I told Brooke, because like we went back there, I was like trying on pants or whatever. And I was like, I feel so uncomfortable being over here because if I saw a grown man walk, like I could hear a younger girl in one of the changing rooms with her mom. And I was like, I told Brooke, I'm like, I can't do this. I'm like, we'll buy pants another day, because I felt I was like, I wouldn't feel comfortable if a grown man was walking into a changing area where my daughter is. Mm-hmm. And it just feels so off.
But again, that's the difference, right? I mean, I get it, because there are people that have completely opposite opinions on life, morals, all that stuff, that are way smarter than me intellectually, book smart and all that stuff. But in the end, I guess I'm still trying to wrap my head around the idea of acceptance, right? Like, what is acceptable? Because they're going to have different visions of how their life should be. The difference is if you don't, as long as you don't push it on me, that's fine. I hope that I don't push myself onto other people. You know what I mean? Like, my dad is we'll say a staunch Christian, right? He's a staunch Christian man, old school Christian guy, fire and brimstone type of guy. And his idea of Christianity is to go out and preach the gospel to everybody. It doesn't matter whether they accept it or not. Like, that's just his thing. And it's always been kind of like a thing with him and I, because everybody will say shares the gospel in different ways, right? Like, there are people that go out, and my dad will strike up a conversation with somebody, piss them off, and then they'll be on their way, and they are no closer to coming to Jesus and loving Jesus than any other agnostic, or, you know. And so there are times where I actually have felt like my dad is responsible for literally turning away people that could follow Christ, because they just can't fucking stand him. And if that makes any sense to you,
it does.
You know?
Yeah.
But yet then there's other people who have done nothing. They haven't necessarily preached the gospel, but they've lived a life where you've known them to be Christians or Christ followers, and they've never really been out there and been like, well, you need to do this or you're going to go to hell, or, you know. And they've always, and again, maybe it's just my personal opinion, but it's always moved me more than the fire and brimstone guy, that old school person like my dad, that's been like, well, then you're a fucking idiot, you know, if you don't fucking like God. I mean, I don't understand what your problem is. Like, you're the one who chooses God, you know. Like, that's not how my dad is, you know. And it's just, it's tough. So there's always that going to be combating that as well. Like, there's people that are not going to agree with me. They're going to think that I'm always wrong, where I'm thinking this is so, like, are they thinking the same thing? Are they going, no, Dave's fucking nuts, man, he's crazy. Well, how could he not think that this is an amazing deal? I think personally, the vast majority of individuals are afraid to speak up for something like this, in this nature, something of this kind of caliber, because once again, it's like the Trump voters. When Trump got elected, nobody wanted to admit that they fucking voted for Trump. If you would have talked to 100,000 people, 99 of them would have said, yeah, I voted for Trump. And then the other, like 6 of them would have been like, yeah, I voted for him. Please keep it down. The everybody else would have been like, nope, I didn't vote for that guy. No fucking way. No. Because they didn't want to say it at the time. Yeah. Nobody wants to speak up. Nobody wants to give their opinion when it matters. They just want to give it to you when it doesn't fucking matter. It's on fucking Facebook, you know?
Yeah. All right. Well, that leads us in. That leads us into
that was just the beginning.
The Nashville shooting. And we're going to talk about some double standards. First of all, as always with these kinds of things, we're talking about it because it's everywhere. It's here, and we'll talk about it, but we're not talking about it to the exclusion of empathy and sympathy for those who actually have gone through it and are going through it and will go through it. So I don't want to come off like, just insensitive pundits per se. But it's an important issue because we are like, people think, I feel like people think I'm exaggerating when I say this. I don't believe that I am. If you are in the chats, let me know if you think I'm crazy or not when I say we are at war. There is an ideological war happening. The enemy, in a broad stroke, is Marxism. And this is just one of the shapes that it is taking when it comes to the LGBTQ plus agenda. And again, I am unashamedly saying there is an agenda.
Well, okay? I agree with you. And I think that it's slowly been established over time. I don't think it's something that's just now happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been slowly kind of rooted in our kids, like in our schools. And
yeah. Well, that's the whole idea of school, right? That's where that's where school came from. Our idea of a fucking school came from
exactly
communists.
Yeah. Socialists. And that's why I'm encouraging every single parent to pull your kids out of the public education system, this particular incident happened at a private school. So we're not talking about safety yet, but we'll get there. We'll talk about some solutions for safety, but in general, your kids are being indoctrinated from a young age. They're being Elijah. Where's that clip?
Which clip?
That cartoon with the non-binary cow or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'll find it. Hold on.
Yeah, if you can work on that. But
and while he's doing that, I just want to say that if I encourage everybody, remember, this is part of our podcast. Our motto is question everything. Do your homework, find out, look into, and understand how our schools came to be, how our education system came to be what it is, how it started, why it was started in the first place. And you will see very quickly why this avenue is such an easy avenue to get to our kids. And I know we sound crazy when we say that. Do us a favor, look into the history of it.
Yes.
And we are not going to be nearly as crazy sounding when you do your own research on it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so and this is the reason, like, I'm just going to show you an example of why. You got it? Here we go. This is a cartoon that you can listen for yourself. And I don't know what the cartoon this is, but if your kids watch it, here's what they're seeing.
Well, my heart says that the way I feel most myself is to go by the name Fred. That's because I'm non-binary, and Fred is the name that fits me best. And I also use they and them, because calling me a she or a he doesn't feel right to me. Oh, I didn't know that.
Good job, Mom. Way to be supportive.
You're You're a fucking cow.
First of all, let's start there.
First of all, let's just start at the basics.
There are people who actually think they're cows, which is the
That's
fucked up
true.
part.
I know.
of
That's
the
what I'm
whole thing.
saying. It's so. How are we accepting this?
Whatever that was, Drew says it's been canceled by Netflix. I don't know.
Oh my
So
God.
that's good. Probably because it sucked. All right. So one of the things that you need to understand is that when I say the term leftists, this is what I mean. I call them Marxists. And here's another opinion that you can sound off in the chat. You can send me an email, whatever. At this point in history, listen, dude, if you're a Democrat, you're a Marxist. If you support the platform, you're a Marxist. Now, I think there's plenty of terrible, terrible things happening in the Republican Party. I think there's a uniparty. So hear me when I say this. I'm not suggesting that the solution is to be Republican, because that's that bifurcation that happens. That's what they want us to do, because they're one party. They're one thing. Okay. But you go to a certain direction. The platform itself, the agenda is a Marxist agenda. And what you have to understand about Marxism, I'm going to remove him from the stream while he's going to take a dump. All right. What you have to understand is that they believe that you cannot reform culture. You have to destroy it. Okay. You guys, and we don't have time to go into this. Again, Dave said it. Do your own research. You want to understand Marxism and critical theory. They believe that our culture is systemically wrong. Therefore, you cannot reform it. You have to destroy the system, and you are to destroy it by any means necessary. Look at this shirt that you can buy.
Yeah. But honestly, Mike, they're not dumb.
No,
they have played the long game. I'm telling you, man, they have played the long game since the beginning, and this is where we're at now. It's absolutely insane. It's insane.
They don't want visibility. They don't want equality. They don't even want equity. They want vengeance.
God, no. Yeah.
And there's not genocide happening. What a spit in the face of cultures and races that have actually been involved in genocide. No one is genociding trans people. It's a ridiculous claim. It's all a ruse. But this is all a shell game to move through pop culture and to capitalize on indoctrinating the youth to be on their side and to change the very fabric, the very values that undergird freedom. You have to understand that. Guys, listen, whatever you think about Christianity, whatever you think about it, it is Christian values that shape the West's freedom. No other nation, no other ideology has created as much freedom and prosperity in the world as Christian moral values, period. This is not just an opinion. And I know people hear me on this and, whatever. And then
they want to spout out their personal problems, their personal woes, as if somehow it's a societal issue, which is all a bullshit cover up. So,
yeah, it's this is not a matter of like me and Dave think that Christian values are better than your values. Don't hear us saying that. I think that, but I'm not saying it. What I am saying is that it is an indisputable historical fact that what shaped the West and the immense amount of advances in science, in medicine, in generosity is unparalleled, completely unparalleled, because of Christian values undergirding it. It was driven entirely by that. Ending slavery, Christian values, right? Like, I mean, the list would go on. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Christians don't do much for the world. You are living on another planet if you believe that to be true historically. You are simply wrong. Like, email me, mike@mikethecop.tv if you don't believe me. We'll get into it over time. You are wrong if you do not agree with that factual statement that I just said.
But
okay?
Mike, they can do socialism better. They can do communism better.
That's
it's
nice
every
lie.
time it's been tried, they can do it better. We can do better. We just haven't destroyed the social framework that we need to yet, to its absolute completeness. We have not raised the earth. We have not salted it afterwards enough yet in order to build up communism and make it right. We haven't done that yet. And we just have to work harder at that.
Yeah. And what you learn is that it's never enough. It is never, ever, ever enough, because the system itself has to be dismantled. And that is exactly what is happening before our eyes. Now, I'm just going to talk about two particular double standards. And then maybe we can get into a little bit about like what really causes this. What are some solutions to this?
Let me do a quick shout out to Jenny. Love you, Jenny. That's my cousin.
Hey, Jenny. Jenny.
Jenny.
Thanks for watching the show.
She's my cousin.
Just like that, I was podcasting again.
That was so good. Anyways,
right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
First double standard in this situation, in the response. And I'm gonna lump everybody in on this, and I'll tell you why. But the first double standard is outrage over kids being murdered here.
Yeah.
But not outrage over kids being murdered elsewhere. Okay. And this is as equally true for the right as the left in this case, because a lot of people are talking about this on the right now, but they never talk about kids being killed otherwise, which happens all the time.
And why is it, Mike? You can just say it. Doesn't fit the agenda, right? Doesn't fit the narrative.
It doesn't fit their agenda. Look at this, guys.
Now, you know what? Honestly, though, fuck it, Mike. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to put this on Republicans too, because they do the same thing. You got DC Drano, typical liberal, and they are shouting from the rooftops. They are fear mongering as bad as the liberals are right now, and they are just as fucking bad. It is every part of this is in the same works, man, just to get these fucking votes. And these guys, they're getting their clicks, they're getting their likes, their hearts, or whatever, and it's paying off very fucking well for them. The dollar signs are coming in. The bank statements are flowing. You know, this is where it pisses me off, because we do. You're right, and you can finish talking about it. I'm sorry that I interrupted you, but
oh, you're good.
I'm just as tired of watching guys like that on social media with this fake outrage, this bullshit outrage. Because if they were so outraged, they wouldn't be discussing these very particular things.
Mm-hmm.
They would be discussing other things of actual value. And things that are going on around the world, not just in this country, in inner cities and every other place. But that's not how they do it. And the way their delivery is fear mongering to the conservatives as well. And I think that they need to be called out on that too.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I said, like, this goes both ways. If you're not so this headline, at least 276 children aged 16 and younger have been shot in Chicago since the start of last year. That includes 43 children younger than 13, obtained by CBS Chicago through a Freedom of Information Act request. The data is all shootings between the 1st of January and the 10th of January. 1st of January 2021 to the 10th of January 2022. That's
Chicago. That's a city. That's just a single city in the fucking whole United States. The whole fucking country. One city.
So yes, we're here leveraging this fact that everyone's talking about this shooting, and God bless the families that are going through this. It's not a mutual exclusive thing. It's not a comparison game. We're not like, well, this shooting's worse than this. No. Evil rearing its head especially when we're talking about the most innocent among us, that's terrible.
Yep.
But if you're only talking about this one because it's a win for our side, because this was a trans person that did it or whatever, and this proves a point for you, this scores one for your team.
Yeah.
Well, fuck you, man.
Yeah. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's transgenders versus guns versus who's the loudest voice. And it's so tiring. And I mean, like I said, question everything, guys. This is not, if you watch this podcast or listen to this podcast, do not think for 1 second that it's just Dave and Mike and we're just conservative, we'll say Republicans that only go through A, B, and C. This is our platform. There should never be such a thing ever. I am very conservative in certain ways, and I'm very I think I'd be very considered very socially liberal in other ways as well. I don't ever think
different
for a second
than ideologically leftist or liberal.
No, not at all. I like to think I'm on the side of common sense, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people are ever going to see me that way. And I get that. Like I said, we all have our differences. But yeah, don't think for a second we're not going to be fucking calling out the bullshit on both sides, because in the end, as long as they can get us talking about things like this, and we know the importance of this is not something you don't talk about,
right?
They know that they can hide any other fucking thing behind our backs anytime that they want. All they have to do is follow a good story or bring up a story from the past. That's all it takes. And so we fall for it time and time again. So when you see something like this happen, again, this is very newsworthy. This is something worth talking about. And I think this is worth opening up all the doors and the windows and talking to your neighbors. But the reality is that we have to know that there are things happening behind our backs. When something like big like this happens, that just means they're going to be trying to push something else through. You know what I mean? Something else is going on that we all need to know about, that they're all on the same side with. Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. They're the best. Now I just sounded retarded. What else? I didn't even sound like
Watch your mouth. You can't say
that. Very much for that. I know.
Open the door.
Say that.
Open the door. Open your door. All right, Jenny, CJ, Ryan, and Erica, thank you all so much for the super chats. Appreciate it. We're glad you're here. All right. So that bothered me as a double standard first, right? Because that's just one city which is plagued with inner city, primarily gang violence, gang and drug related violence, right? That's just one place. So please, by all means, righteous anger toward the harming of children, it should light us all up. But don't just take advantage of this and score one for your team and feel like you did something. To me, all of the conservative pundits jumping on this is just like all the morons changing their profile pics to a Ukrainian flag. You guys are idiots. You're all idiots.
We all lost when this happened. What the fuck is Elijah doing? No, but we all lost. This is not something that one side wins or the other. We all lost on this. Yes. This is a tragic fucking thing on every side for every person involved. That includes the family of this transgender freaking psycho. That you think that family is not suffering, they absolutely are. And so it's so easy to remove yourself from this bullshit. Like I said, like you said, just change your fucking profile picture to a fucking flag, dude. That's all we got to do. That's how I show my support. I don't have to do anything. All I got to do is bitch about it a little bit on Facebook. I don't even have to do that anymore. I just change my profile picture. And you know what side I'm on. You know that I'm fully in support of, and that's all I'm going to do, though. That's all I'll do. That's all I need to do.
The other aspect of outrage over kids there, it's wild to me that at the highest level of political leadership with Sleepy Joe, he will come out and say like, Cutthroat's a great question. We're going to end the show tonight talking about solutions, and we'll each give our take on that. It's a I think that's a really valuable piece of the discussion.
I know
So
how to
what
do
do we
it. It starts
what do we
with
do?
3 colors: red, white, and blue.
I know how we do it. It starts with 9mm. All right. The president and everybody that is on this Marxist agenda comes out and wants to pull heartstrings about kids while they simultaneously slaughter them by the tens of thousands a day in the womb.
Yep.
You do not have, if you support abortion, you cannot be mad about the Nashville thing. Sorry. You can't. Morally, it's incongruous. I don't have the, whoa, what happened?
What is going
What?
on?
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. I think Dave he has his admin abilities and he's pressing the wrong buttons.
What's going on,
Do you have a
Dave?
nosebleed?
Dave, you're muted.
Yeah, I got a nosebleed. I'm trying to keep it off the camera.
Oh, you took
then
me off.
And then he just
At
takes
first,
us
I did.
off.
Yeah, I did. But that was actually, I put you right back on.
You
Yeah,
know
I took
what?
myself
You know
off.
what that's gonna do to me, Dave? It's gonna create like 8 separate audio files.
Dave.
For the
You deserved
thing.
it for leaving us and pooping.
All right.
Sorry, man. I didn't want to poop.
So
myself.
where I was it's incongruous because, like, think about one of the top reasons people will say they're pro-abortion. Well, it'd be bad to bring a kid into this world. Well, then it's good to take one out then. If it's good to keep them out, it's good to take them out. You're morally incapable of the higher ground.
They're
okay?
fetuses. They don't mean anything.
Yeah, don't mean anything. All right, so that was thing one. The double standard of outrage here, not outrage elsewhere. And I say that with the caveat that I understand that we're not mutually exclusive. You can be mad about both, right? Like maybe this incident is the one that really gets you in the game. But you can't just focus on one thing. You have to understand the bigger picture of what's going on. Violence against kids as a general thing
Dave,
is bad.
you can just press stop cam and stay in here.
I want people to see me fucking bleed.
Okay.
This conversation gave me a nosebleed.
All right. Number 2, the second double standard that I'm going to talk about tonight is this goes back to how people reacted to. We were talking about profile pics. Ahmaud Arbery. People remember that situation. Ahmaud Arbery, the people that killed him were convicted. And if you remember the video, right, like racial slurs, whatever, they killed this man. And arguably this was unjustifiable, right? Like, and they were convicted. So let's all just say, yep, okay, that is what it is. When Ahmaud Arbery happened, that was like a big watershed moment. And everybody changed their profile pics on Instagram that was a leftist to a black square because racism, right? It was a hate crime. What color square did we change for the hate crime against Christians? Because that's what this was.
Oh,
this
clearly.
was a hate crime.
I would say that
against Christians.
Most people who control that narrative, like I would say that the left controls the narrative on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that they would say that Christianity isn't a minority, so it doesn't deserve to have that for it.
Yeah, well,
it's
crazy. Yeah,
it's sad, but that would be their reasoning, even if they wouldn't admit that.
Sure. Yeah. So it was just a double standard that stood out to me because it's like, let's look at what happened here. And to add into that, one of the victims was a black male, but we don't see a single Black Lives Matter protest happening tonight in Nashville. Not a single one from Black Lives Matter. They are not in the streets. They are not rioting. They are not looting. They are not shouting. But a black man was killed by this shooter.
That's interesting. Do you think that do you think that has less to do with Black Lives Matter and more to do with the media part of that, keeping that part secret and then saying like, hey, let's not capitalize on this. This is not a good time. Let's focus on this instead because this is going to further our agenda. Obviously, we know that's what happened.
Oh yeah, of course they're having those kind of conversations.
But do you think it was a Black Lives Matter decision, or do you think they just are? Do you think like they have to pick their battles? I mean, we clearly know. I mean, I'm not trying to be too much of a devil's advocate on this, but I'm just wondering like how much to blame is Black Lives Matter for not coming out and being angry about that? Because technically we already know that's not their job. Their job is only to do that with police, what they consider police violence and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I mean, that should be in their
agree.
platform.
But we'll then expand it to LeBron James or any other famous celebrity that when it's a cop that does this, oh man, it's a problem. But when it's a transgender confused young man that's suffering a mental illness that does it, oh well, that black life wasn't worth a tweet. You know what I'm saying?
I almost feel like we're giving this too much, not even thought, but like too much clout to show how powerful the media really is. Because here we are kind of bitching about the double standards, and yet the first thing that people will say is like, we shouldn't be comparing the two. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels weird a little bit, you know, because I get the double standard. I think most people here understand the double standard, but it's like one of those where there are times where we would kind of throw that card out there and go, hey, easy with the double standard. That's not a really good comparison. You know, are we making that argument? Are we making that comparison reasonable and actually comparable?
Yeah. I agree with you. I think certainly we have to be careful of that and be open to recognizing where we're sort of like doing the same thing in another direction, for sure. Right? Like, I agree with you. I don't disagree with that. I think that there could be certainly like that double standards can creep up in us as too, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
for sure.
And yeah, is it easy to, I mean, it's always easy to throw double standards out there when you're trying to quote, get your point across.
Mhm.
I think it's a little, there's a difference for us is that I'm not trying to get a point across. What I'm trying to do is expose everybody for what they are, because the conservatives, I say conservatives, but Republicans and the Democrats do it all. It's just that the media does it more often and they do it better than anybody else.
Yeah.
That's the
well,
truth.
you bring up the point that you make is good, because it's like, well, what is the root cause of this? Right? Like that at the end of the day, what is the cause of this? Now I would make a case that this is a spiritual issue, right? Like, because the framework that I'm operating in is one, I am operating from a Christian worldview. Okay. So maybe if you're listening or you're watching, maybe you don't share that worldview, and we would have to sort through that. I'm coming from a Christian worldview in which I would see that what is going on here is spiritual warfare, because I believe people are influenced by one of two things: the Holy Spirit, which would be God, or demonic spirits, Satan and his angels. I think that there is a real spiritual battle going on, and I believe that influences our mind, so our ideologies, our way of seeing things, our way of speaking and communicating and acting in the world. And I think that's what's going on. And part of the issue here is that we have to not put a Band-Aid on cancer. And so all of the legislation is a piece of security, but it is not a solution to the real problem going on. Now, we can talk about that, like what caused it, but if we don't agree on the cause, it's going to be difficult to come to the right solution, because
if we have no baseline,
doing
then
different
what difference
things.
is it? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Because some people, like David Hogg, would say the problem is the guns, and so the solution is to remove guns from society. But I would say, like, the problem isn't a gun. The problem is the spiritual bankruptcy and satanic influence, spiritual brokenness of humans is what leads to actions like this. And the only solution is to fill that with the Holy Spirit or God, right? Like that's at the root cause of this. And evil, like, because people are like, well, I don't understand why. Because it's evil. Because that's what evil does. Evil kills, evil destroys, evil erodes. That's what it does.
Well, so I agree with you, but let's see if we can't break it down a little bit more. So you're approaching this as a very spiritual issue. I don't disagree. However, we can segment that into smaller microcosms of the actual problems that exist in society, besides just saying this is good versus evil, Satan, supernatural. I think there are ways that we can approach this, still keep our thought process on it, but also expand out and be able to communicate with people who aren't religious at all. Because the reality is that there is good and there is evil. And I think that people have to understand that the idea behind that is, it's not that it's not, I'm trying to compare it. I'm one of those people who personally believe that there are people that do very good in this world, right? But the idea is we as humans, in humanity, and this is across the board, tend to fall into very easily into, example, a mob mentality. It's very easy for us to take the easy way and the wrong way. And even more so, instinctually, I believe as human beings, we are more apt to remember the bad things in life than we are the good things, because that instinctually is what helped us survive for as long as it has. If I don't remember that my hand gets burned when I put it on the oven, I just remember that my mom used to kiss my finger if I did it, well, then I'm an idiot, right? Like those aren't the things I'm going to remember.
Yeah.
So I think as humans, morally, you say bankrupt. I think, yes, we can be. I think we can even just dumb it down more. I don't mean to say that in a way that is being a dick to people who aren't Christians or whatever. I'm saying, like, let's dumb humanity down even more by saying that we have a propensity for violence. We have a propensity to do the easiest things to get by, and that often it comes at a cost to either us or somebody else, if you want to get to its most basic level. And the idea that without that nucleus, without that support group, because there are Aboriginal places that they say it takes a village. Literally, a village will raise individuals, and they seem to do fine on a moral basis because they have that family network, that community. But we're losing that, and I think that's part of where our issue is with this whole good versus bad, evil, that kind of stuff. I don't dispute what you were saying. I'm just trying to dumb it down.
On to solutions, but it's
sorta
hard for me to. I mean, I agree with you, Dave, and it's hard for me to bring it down to that level, or not saying that I'm like up here and other people are down here, but what I'm saying is that my worldview, like my lens that I view the world through, is that our morality is given to us by a creator. And so for me, that's like my base level of understanding and how we innately know good versus evil. So it's like, yeah, but I also think for me, at least for me, it's really, really hard, almost impossible to take that out of the equation for me, because that's just how I view the world. So it's tough to say that people could adapt and learn what would be wrong or right, when I just think that that is instilled in us by something greater than us, or that greater than our understanding, rather than like worldly experiences or adaptation or evolution or whatever other people would say it is.
I think that the erosion, like you're talking about, Dave, of the family unit and a cohesiveness in society around shared values. I mean, I think that that's I think it's an obvious thing. Maybe some people need to open their eyes to that, right? Like to look around and go, wow, we just don't share the same values. And speaking politically, right? Like you go back in time to like, yes, we had primarily two political parties for most of our history, right? And they ideologically disagreed maybe on a path, on the process, but they shared a similar goal.
Agreed. Yes.
They had the same end game, right? Like they agreed on, well, that's how the Constitution came to be. They agreed on these things, right? So like, this is what we're pursuing. And they had different approaches, right? Like in terms of, one side felt like an emphasis on labor and focusing on protection around labor would lead to that. Other people focused on, foreign policy and strength as a way to hedge our bets on freedom. So we had different approaches, in terms of that. But at the end, it was the goal. The American experiment is to hold on to this freedom that we were able to establish. And it was still undergirded by both sides, almost universally, okay, on both sides, undergirded by a fundamental theistic morality, right? Like that's where I said, like, we go back, like you can't study American history with any set of honest eyes and walk away with any different take on that. Like that's not, it's just, you're ignoring it, calling the sky red when it's blue. It's like, I can't take you seriously because you're just 2 + 2 isn't 5, like this is like really simple. But I think that the erosion of family and things like that is, again, it's just an indicator of, well, why is that happening? And I think it's like, this spiritual issue going on.
I know why.
Not enough people have Harleys.
Well, that's one reason. Legitimately, and I say this as someone who is fully employed by social media. It is social media. It is TV. It's the connection and the amount of things that people are seeing and the amount of information that people are taking in that has never, it's unprecedented. Like Jordan Peterson was talking about how young men are exposed to things on the internet like porn and seeing however many beautiful women they want, or all these cars and fancy thing, whatever it is. That's like that would be living like a king. We aren't made to view that many things. I was thinking today, like I saw the police response to the shooting in Nashville, and I was like, why am I seeing this? Why are so many people seeing this? It's like whenever there's a mass shooting, these people
weren't meant to see this. It's so wild.
I'm not meant to see these things. I'm not meant to know all of these intimate details of people's lives, and yet it's become like a weird necessity for our culture. And I think it's kind of feeding this unhealthiness of like, I mean, just mental health, period. Period.
Yeah.
And I see it in so many people. So many people are, I mean, I fasted. I just basically took a break from Instagram for 1 week. And I was like, holy shit.
There's a whole world out there.
It is my first, well, it's like my first instinct is to go to Instagram. My brain doesn't even think about it. I just went to it. And I was like, whoa, I can't do that. And it was so weird to, I don't know. It's just,
I think
social media and I think news and TV have just ruined people's mental health because we're taking in and we're seeing too much.
I think that we should actually have that as a conversation for next week, even, because we could really go off the rails with social media in general as we're a social media outlet. But I think that is an important thing, and I wonder if we might try to get somebody on there, but to talk about it with us. But it is absolutely amazing. Like you said, I agree with that. Obviously, we've kind of gone off the rails as far as like the whole shooting thing, but you're on the same level, right? Like the idea that we are seeing pieces of people's lives that they're literally selling us now. Like they're people, we've bought into it. People have sold their souls to be on camera and show how their life exists or how it doesn't exist. Or like, even just like, we'll say Pawn Stars. So Pawn Stars is I really like the show Pawn Stars, right? I didn't say porn stars. I said pawn.
I thought you were trying to use a sneaky way of
no.
Stars for like
I do. I saw your head spinning, dude. No, so but Pawn Stars is interesting because it's like the Antique Roadshow for me. Like I'm interested in all these old artifacts and things of that nature, but there's parts of it that are real, and there's a lot of it that's just plain scripted. So we're not even getting fed reality TV anymore. It's not even how they sell it anymore, and people are profiting off of it. We are so busy watching other people's lives go by that we have no time for our own. I could look at my phone, and I'm completely guilty. It'll be like, hey Dave, your phone usage is up 32% this week, and I'm like, what the fuck did I do? What have I been doing? It's just like it's dumb, and then like when it'll be like it went down 13%. I'm like, yes. That's still not good enough, Dave, you idiot. It's still not good enough. See, even Apple sold me a bill of goods on percentages going down. I'm like, I'm so proud of myself. I'm not proud of myself. I'm probably still on there like fucking 4 hours a day or some shit.
Yeah, man. I truly have a dream of 30 days completely phone free. But I realize when I think about that, I'm like, dude, my whole like income now, like my way of thriving is deeply connected to this. Like if I woke up tomorrow and I had no internet at home, I would have to go somewhere to get internet. Like I have a meeting at 9, right? Like that I need like,
and you need to sell my house.
Yeah, I'm working on that. You already got an offer, man. It's good. It's over asking. So
I'm excited to hear about that.
I'm working on building it to an appraisal guarantee, by the way, because I'm good at negotiations, dude. I love that's the only thing I like about real estate, negotiations, dude. I love it. All right. Anyway,
all right, shut up, Miggy.
So the we're hitting on all these things, and people need to look at like I guess the main walkaway is you have to look at the underlying cause. You can't just patch holes in the ship with your fingers. And that's what a lot of people are doing. And one of the causes may very well be
a lot of holes with my fingers. What? I'm just saying I can do it.
At least two.
It's what
per
Willie
hand.
You
guys are gross, man. Come on.
It's a lot of holes.
It's a lot of holes.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm not trying to interrupt you, but to your point of like filling the holes in a ship and it only lasts so long. I read this book before, like something about kill the spider, I think was the name of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it was talking about seeking out your root causes for issues. because what we tend to do is just like clear out all these webs, but then just leave this problem sitting there that's just going to keep making the webs, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we have to get at the source, right? Like, so we have
Well,
to look
it's
at
like
that.
getting rid of the guns, right? Get rid of the guns, you're going to solve all your problems. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, until evil
That's a
humans come
web.
up with another way to kill people.
Yeah, heaven forbid.
Like,
You know, like
then
crash
all of
fucking
a sudden
planes into buildings or fucking
then,
hit people with their cars.
Then all the new
That
then
hasn't
the
ever
new the
happened.
new thing would be to drive your SUV into a playground at schools.
It's
You know what I'm
not like
saying?
there
Like,
was a 3-letter
never
agency
happen.
made because of planes and casualty.
Exactly, could never happen.
You know.
and that's again a double standard. One life is too many during COVID. Well, oh really? Anyway, I'm not going to get on that, but I think we have to look at the solution as causative, and so we have to. I think that means we have to go to battle ideologically. We're at war, right? Like I said, so part of the solution is you don't get to be on the sidelines, right? Like you can't be a casual observer of this. You have to take action. I think out of this conversation, one thing that I gleaned from this was like, wow, in my own life, part of me in that ideological battle is to be more rooted in a local community, face to face with people than digitally. Like, not become increasingly less dependent in an age when they want me to be more and more dependent on technology, to become increasingly independent of it at the same time. Leverage it, but don't become dependent upon it. Like, I think that's a really important piece of the puzzle. I think analyzing what it is that you really believe and why, and then going to battle for that, I think is really, really important as a solution. But on a practical level, the reality is we have to take a robust approach to active self-protection. Stop putting the protection of yourself, your family, your kids, your neighbors in the hands of somebody else, and you become equipped to handle it yourself. Stop depending on other people to come save you.
And I fully get, and again, we've gone way over. I fully understand the public school system as being the atrocity that it is, but I also understand that not everybody can just homeschool and do their own thing. There are other programs out there. There are, like, my children went to online school, and
that's what we converted to.
It was great. It was fantastic.
I want to say something. Me and my brother, we tried doing online schooling, like online homeschool, and we couldn't do it.
I can see that.
Because we had just gotten so used to
bullying
being
people
around other people, you know. Mm-hmm. But lots of places are doing like co-ops now too, so you can like
which is cool. It's a great idea.
Yeah, and you can be with other people, so you're not like a social recluse, you know.
But at the very least, if you have to have your child in public school, and I do understand that it happened, you have to do it. Just be active. I'm so thankful that Joyce was so active in our school, our kids' school, so active to the point where she actually volunteered and then got hired in as a helper at the school. And she sat in on, especially during COVID, which is where a lot of this got exposed. A lot of this blew up because of COVID, where teachers were trying to keep the parents out of the fucking schools, and they couldn't do it. We should have cameras in every single school, classrooms in the schools, just like every police officer needs to wear a camera on their vest. If that's that's exactly what we should always be able to monitor what our children are doing, what our teachers or the teachers are trying to show them and teach them. We need to know. There should never be a time where they can close the fucking doors on us. We are the parents.
Amen to that.
Bitches.
Whew. All right, man. Okay. That was a supersized episode for you guys.
Wow, it was.
Right there.
Sorry about that.
We went from a murder scene with Spinetti and Russo to
Russo's poor wife. She bought the farm.
Talking about the change in transgender laws, and then into the Nashville shooting. Man, wild. Hopefully you found it valuable, enjoyable, engaging. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate the comments. Again, super chats, Erica, Ryan, CJ, Jenny, and Daryl. Thank you so much for that kind of support. That helps us.
Thank you.
We're doing a free show, but we have to pay for streaming.
So go to, can you hear me? All right. So have we even said, go and listen to the Rittenhouse interview, man? That was a great interview.
Yeah. Go back and listen to what you missed.
Awesome,
if you haven't known that we've been doing
this,
it,
you're wrong. And you ain't
watch,
American.
Listen, wherever. Leave those ratings and 5-star reviews, baby.
It's cause home run.